me today, and we're going to talk all about her experience with the P3tolife program. She followed it, so you can kind of hear how things went for her. Also, for you Aussies out there, she lives in Australia. So one little thing that I've heard from a few members in Australia is that sometimes some of the ingredients that are in the plan, since I live in America and I designed it from here and I haven't been to Australia. Actually, I've been there once when I was like 5, but I don't know if that really counts. But anyway, since I designed it with what I have on hand, I found that some of the ingredients aren't available in Australia. So you can kind of hear her feedback on how she made the program work despite that. So anyway, welcome, Helga.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's lovely.
I really appreciate it. So I get all paranoid when trying to work out like the time zone difference when I do interviews with ladies in other countries because I'm like worried that I'm going to get it wrong. Okay, like it's Sunday for you, it's Saturday for me. At what time? Like, let's make sure we get this right.
Yeah, I know. I was a bit confused myself.
I know, it's hard to keep track of it. Well, let's just do a quick starter as far as like what have been your overall results from doing phase 2 of the actual diet, and maybe give us your basic statistics like your age and your height, your weight change and your size change, things like that.
Okay. I'm 58 at the moment, soon to be 59 December, but I've done 5 rounds of HCG, so I'm giving you the figures for this round that I've just finished.
Great.
So I started with the weight of 75.95 kilos. I've put it into pounds. It's 167.4 pounds.
Okay.
And at the end of P2, I weighed 67.7 kilos, which is 149.7 pounds.
Nice. It's funny that you did the transformation to pounds for me because I actually did it earlier today too. I was thinking like, okay, but so thank you. You're so prepared.
No, I figured like no one knows kilos in America.
Well, over there it's,
Well, for Australia it's important, but
yeah.
So I thought I'll just quickly convert it so that people understand.
Yeah, thank you. We can all get what you're talking about. So you had an overall loss of about 8.25 kilos, right?
Yeah.
Which is about 18 pounds, right? Or so about.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Nice.
And for some people, like that doesn't seem like a lot of weight, but I've had a lot of issues with like health problems with my hormones and things like that. So gaining that small amount of weight really interferes with my health. Gotcha. And that's why I decided to do the HCG, because I wanted to get it off quick because it was causing such concern to me.
Gotcha.
And even that small amount of weight was a struggle. So doing it was an achievement.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like, well, most people, have a lot more weight to lose, right. But we all have the same issue. It's a struggle to get rid of.
It is, yeah, whether it's 5 or 50 pounds. Yeah,
yeah,
it's so
that's
true.
Right.
And how tall are you, by the way?
I'm 5'4".
Okay, gotcha. 5'4". Yeah. And how does your clothing size, like your waist size, like in pants, change from losing that 8 kilos?
I started out fitting a size 16.
Okay.
And I'm now fitting a 14, and loosely, like comfortably,
nice.
which is good. I don't feel comfortable wearing a 12. I fit a 12, but I'm just not confident wearing a 12 in pants. I just don't like the look of it.
Yeah. So, I'm actually the same way. I have a lot of like size 4 like jeans, but I don't actually wear them because they fit, but I don't like fitted clothing. It's not comfortable.
No, I agree with you. I'm the same. I could wear it, but just I wouldn't enjoy wearing it.
I want to be comfortable in my body. No, yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's great. Awesome. Okay, cool. So overall you had the 18-pound loss. So I'm curious, I don't actually know this. How did you end up coming across the P3tolife program to start with?
Well, the first time I did HCG was in 2015, and I just came across it. I don't know why. I was just online and, wanting to know how to lose weight. And I saw an advertisement or something um, about it. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. I might have a little look into that. And then I came across your site
Yeah.
and I was really interested in what you had to say about it and
Cool.
how, informative you were,
Oh,
which
good.
is what I needed. I needed some sort of coach, coaching in that kind of area because I wasn't sure whether that would be suitable for me to do.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so once I found you, I went on the HCG and then just kept following you. So over the next few years, I did another, like, the total was 5 rounds. So
Okay.
each round I would just go online and find you and see what else you'd put
Like, what are
on.
you up to now?
Yeah, a bit like that, which was helpful to me because
Good.
no one I knew ever heard of it. So it wasn't really
Right.
something you could find in Australia, except I found one practitioner because, like, I couldn't just go online and order HCG. It wasn't allowed in the country. You
Right.
actually had to get a doctor's prescription
Prescription.
to actually
Gotcha.
use it.
Gotcha.
So I found a practitioner, and she was the only one that was doing it at the time
Oh, wow.
that I could have access to.
Right.
So yeah, and I used her program,
Cool.
and but kept. I used her program so that I could get the drops, but I used your blog
Oh,
to
gotcha.
figure out the know-how of how to do it. So that was
Sure.
good. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very good. That's awesome. So did you have to get a prescription over there for prescription like the hormone drops or for like homeopathic drops?
Only for the hormone drops.
Oh, okay.
I,
So they are the real hormone you were taking.
I was taking, yeah, the real
Gotcha.
hormone. You just can't go out and buy that.
Right. Is that
But
practitioner still prescribing over there?
yes,
Oh, cool.
yes,
I wonder
yes.
if we could even maybe get that information later. I don't know if that would be okay or not, but just for other
I've got
Australians.
I've got two outlet, like, people now that do it, and it's more prevalent. Like, it's if you Google it, you'll get other Australian
Gotcha.
um, people that are using it, but some of them aren't. They're they're not hormone drops. They're just
Right.
homeopathic.
Right.
I've used both. So the first time I used the hormone, the
Yeah.
second time I used the homeopathic,
Okay.
and then the other rounds I just used the hormone.
Gotcha. I'm curious, did you feel like you noticed a difference between the two types at all, or not really?
Um, Not really. I lost weight with the homeopathic just as I did with the real hormone.
Yeah.
But I remember you saying something about that why not use the real thing?
Yeah.
Like, why, not that I'm against
Sure.
homeopathic things, but I
Right.
just thought, well, yeah, right, it's out there. Why not use the real thing? So that's why
Yeah.
I
Oh,
chose.
cool. Yeah,
Mm,
it's a personal decision. I think it was just like for me, I felt like, well, I only have one body. I don't really want to
yeah,
experiment too much when I only have the one body, and
yeah,
so,
I
oh,
understand.
okay, cool. That's good to hear. Well, you guys, what we'll do is in the show notes, if you go to her show notes later, we'll put the information for maybe the contact info for where
Yeah,
she
I
got her
have to actually
prescription.
gather it for you because I don't have it on
Yeah,
hand.
no, that's fine. We'll put it in the show notes later for you guys if you want that. So if you're in Australia and you've been looking for a source for real prescription HCG drops, we'll try to get that for you guys. Okay, so very good, cool. So that's how you found me. So then you probably were aware when I actually released the program and everything. Then
Yes,
yeah,
because I'm on your listing now. So
yeah.
you emailed me saying, "Oh, I'm doing something new, and this is how I'm doing it." So I thought I'll do
Gotcha.
it.
Oh, well, very good. So I'm curious then, you've done this as several P3s now. What have been the challenges for you? Or what do you feel like the challenges are when it comes to phase 3 in general for yourself or for people in general? without the program?
Yeah, without a program or some sort of plan, I found it very difficult, like, knowing what to actually go back eating, what to introduce.
Yeah.
Like most of the rounds, I just sort of decided to eat what I thought was the correct food that I thought was a suitable thing to eat. And it didn't always work out that way. Well, obviously it didn't, because I never gained the full amount, but I gained enough weight back to have symptoms come back.
Oh.
Which then I thought, no, I can't go back there again, because it was just too unbearable. So
I see.
never regained the full amount, but when I started to gain to where I couldn't control the gain, I stopped and then went back on HCG.
Gotcha.
But not having a plan, not knowing the amount of food to eat, sometimes, being a bit too hasty, like the impatient side of it, wanting to get that food into you since you've been, not starving yourself, but just, being deprived of things that you like, and not necessarily things that are bad for you, but just things that are tasty and different.
Totally.
So it's more like that sort of thing. Just whether, starting to eat normally is going to bring that weight back. It's like it's a little bit of the stress factor, introduced in that sort of thing.
Right, just kind of not being sure, huh?
Not being sure, and if you're not under supervision, really, it can be a challenge, like you do sort of maybe go overboard.
Right. I did the same thing. I mean, because I did P3 way before making a plan also, so I did the same thing. I would just tend to be a little overboard, even though I was strictly no starches and no sugars. It's still, like you said, you get too hasty, and so it's hard when you don't have a plan, like you said. Yeah. I'm curious, before we move on, you mentioned that when you would kind of gain weight back after a round, that your health symptoms would kind of come back. Do you mind sharing at all, like what those symptoms are that come and go with the weight loss or with the weight gain?
When I gain more weight, it affects my hormones.
Yeah.
Even that little amount of weight, and like I'm now postmenopausal, so at the time I may have had hormonal issues as well. So, well, I know I did, and I would get, the symptoms that you always get, the hot flushes. A lot of the time I had anxiety attacks, which caused me not to sleep.
Wow.
And it's not something I want to go back to.
Yeah.
It's not. Once I start feeling that kind of anxiousness, I know, I've got to do something about it. Otherwise, it's going to go backwards.
I see. Okay, so when you would actually gain 10, 15 pounds back or something, it sounds like you would have those symptoms come back, the hot flashes and panic attacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. And then when you lost the weight, those would kind of go away?
Yes, they're gone.
Wow.
I don't have them anymore. I get really good sleep. And I think stress, and as you get older, I think it's more, it affects you more, is if you have extreme stress, that gains weight, and that also stops you from losing weight.
Right.
And I was under a lot of stress as well, and that's why I think, like I said to you, that in one of the questions you asked, it's not just losing weight, it's the actual other components of why you're gaining the weight.
Yeah.
Okay, then you're losing the weight, but it's all those other peripheral things that count as well. Like what is your stress like? What are the stress factors in your life? Because that'll determine whether you're going to lose that weight or not. That kind of thing. So once I went on the HCG, my body calmed down, and everything just seemed to chug along happily, type of thing. And that was another thing. Once I stopped P2, I was really worried about, oh no, are they going to come back, these symptoms? because
Yeah.
I don't want to do that again. Yeah,
Especially, yeah, like anxiety attacks and stuff. I've had those on occasion, and yeah, they're pretty awful.
yeah, they are,
Yeah, like you
especially
said,
at
it's something
night.
to like kind of fear. Like I don't want that to come back, you
No,
know?
no, and I'm happy to do anything. Like
Yeah,
I'll do anything to not have that.
exactly.
So
Yes.
if it means going back on HCG, that's fine with me. I'll do that.
Right. Oh, thank you for sharing that because that's very interesting because, there might be other ladies out there who, there might be
Yeah.
a similar thing like that. And it's interesting too how it's even just not a huge amount of weight that will kind of make those symptoms come and go. That's really
No,
fascinating.
no. That's what,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what concerned me because I thought, it's not like I've got a lot of weight to lose,
Yeah.
though, having the weight on is so uncomfortable, like,
Yeah.
having to
Right.
wear the larger clothes and then
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But
Right.
just the way it did affect everything else,
Right.
like the hormones and the sleeping and the stress and all that
Gotcha.
sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, since these other P3s, before you did the program, you said you would kind of gradually gain weight back. Like, what kind of period of time would you say that you would gain back maybe 10 pounds or 15 pounds in? How long would that take, do you think?
Really, around 6 months, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Like it's
Like
a
a
sneaky thing.
slow
Yeah, sneaky, just
inching.
gradually. Yeah, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. That like it's not just I woke up and there it was sitting on me. It was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I've got a little bit on. Oh, it'll be all right. That's what I say.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. I'll do
Gotcha.
something else. But it's not. It's never all
Yeah.
right. Once it starts creeping up, you actually need to pay attention.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
it's funny how like point 0.3, point 0.5 here and there, it's like that isn't really something to worry about, but it is true. If it keeps happening, then it becomes something to worry about.
Yeah, yeah. And like
Gotcha.
that's what's so good about your program because when you come to that point, and you know what else I like? I really appreciate that you're real,
Oh,
that you're actually truthful, that things do happen to you as well as to people out
yeah.
in us. Like that you have had issues and that you try to fix them and just like we would have to, and you
Right.
sharing that really helps because then I know, well, you can fix it, so don't fret, about it.
Yeah.
There's a way of fixing it, and the P3 for life is the tool.
Oh, thank
That's the
you.
tool for me. Yeah.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, I think that is actually what I did want to convey that, and so I'm glad that it came across to you in a good way, is that yeah, like there's no way you'll just be perfect all the time, you know? It's like just because I've been maintaining doesn't mean that I eat perfectly every day and that I never have to correct. Like I totally have to correct.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
point is that there's a way to do it before it gets too out of hand, ideally. And then if it does, then you fix that too. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
you
That's right.
know,
It's fixable. Everything's fixable. That's good.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I used to be such an all or nothing person,
Me
that
too.
that kind of kept me, and that's why I think a lot of people probably that end up liking my program are similar to me, probably because similar experiences, it's just like, and so yeah, I would give up so easily and then just kind of totally go the other way, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't
That's
even live normal. I would just like totally blow it.
well. If I'm gonna do it, I
Yeah, I
do
might
it
as well do
well.
it all the way.
Yes.
Yeah, and which of course makes it really hard then to come back.
Oh,
So,
yeah, because you're at square one, aren't you?
yeah, I know. So it was definitely a really like it took a while to make that mental shift. So that's kind of the goal of the coaching section in P3 to Life is to help all of us kind of reach that point where we're, yeah, getting past that.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that coaching was really helpful because you don't have to travel the road, the hard road. It's already done and it's already
good,
explained to you
good,
what's going to happen and this is how you're going to fix it.
cool.
So it's good in that way, because and even if you make mistakes and you have to do this like me 5 times,
Yeah,
you learn so much. You learn a lot about your body how it works, what it likes, what it doesn't like, and
Right.
and that's what you want. You want to know how your body works so you can
Right.
work with it.
Yeah. No,
Hmm.
it's exactly true. That is true. Every supposed failure, it is like you said, it's a learning experience, really. And you
Yeah.
kind of learn more than you would have, Same thing with my third round, or no, my second round was a total failure wash, and yeah, but I learned so much. That's when I actually got down and started researching stuff, trying to figure out, like, okay, what went wrong here? Like,
Yeah.
why did
Yeah.
I lose control, and why couldn't I do this time, and why did it feel so hard? And I learned a lot of that from that.
That's right. And the thing is, you learn that there's other things that you need to address besides your weight.
Yeah.
Like it's not just your weight. It's why you have weight.
Right.
And how are you going to address that and maybe heal things that are in your life that have caused you to take that path.
Yeah.
It's very it's complex in that way, because it might be your health. You might be letting yourself go, and you're not addressing the health issues that you have. Because
Right.
I'm well known for that,
Yeah.
not addressing it, and then
Yeah.
leaving it for a long time, and then finally doing something when it's out of control. But that's something that I won't be doing
Yeah,
anymore.
gotta take control. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, because even for me, when I initially became overweight, part of it had to do with the fact that I developed a chronic illness, and I couldn't do a lot of the things that I used to do that I enjoyed, like backpacking and hiking, and so a lot of those things kind of got taken away from me almost overnight.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it was kind of like, well, there wasn't much left to do at that point that I enjoyed that could fill my life and my time. And so that's why at that
Yeah.
time I turned to food, you know?
Well, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And so
that's
part of the
that's
healing for me was kind of realizing that I needed to find new things that I could do within my limitations that were fulfilling, you know?
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
I think everybody comes to that point eventually,
yeah.
or should do,
Yeah.
like it,
Yeah, and,
it's
and just that you have to keep adapting too, because you never know when there's some new circumstance and now you have to figure something else out.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. And that's living, isn't it? Like
yeah,
that's what life is. It's
right.
all about that experience.
Yeah, I know. Well, good. Well, thanks for that. So there were those challenges. So now when you followed P3 to life, just in a few sentences, how has it been valuable to you following the having a structured, P3 program?
Well, that's exactly right. Having that structure has gave me boundaries, because I obviously had boundary issues
Yeah.
where I couldn't be trusted to, hover along. I had to actually have boundaries or structure which I could follow, which you offered,
Gotcha.
and yeah, a lot of questions that I had were answered, especially about HCG, but not just HCG. The other things I was talking about by the peripheral things that
Right.
contribute to it as well. You also addressed, which was really helpful.
Good, good. So for you, it wasn't even just about the meal plan and the recipes. It was really all the other stuff with the coaching too. That
Definitely, definitely, yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Cool.
And the coaching was good. I enjoyed watching you do your little bit, and I tried to do the same where I could.
Yeah.
And I'm just reading my notes, thinking, what else have I said?
Oh yeah, I have all your notes here too. Yeah, I think that was the main point of what you said.
Yeah.
So in the program there's the original plan with the meal plan, which has a little more cooking and more recipes, and then there's a simplified plan for people who maybe don't want to cook as much or are busier. So which program did you end up doing, or how?
I, I started with a simplified, because
Okay,
I do work full time,
gotcha.
so a little bit restricted with the time,
Right.
but I had no issues. I just followed what you recommended. I didn't sort of go off and do my own thing, though I do that more now because
Sure.
I've completed everything. But
Yeah.
at the time, the structure of it was what I wanted and needed,
Right.
and that's what I did. I followed follow.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's actually you're doing kind of exactly what I kind of pictured people would do. It was more that it would be a kind of a structured framework for a time
Yeah.
that would kind of almost like intuitively or to like subconsciously give you a feel for like the right amounts and the right types of stuff to eat for your body so that later you could kind of be doing more on your own just
Yes.
intuitively, you know?
Yes. And that's
So,
what I found. That's what I found I can do. And I'm not really a calorie counter either.
yeah.
Don't like to count and have to weigh.
Not like to count calories, but the reality is that from my research it was like it's good to increase your calories gradually when you're stabilizing weight loss. It's good to kind of have a certain ratio of stuff, so it's like that does require like planning, but I didn't want you guys to have to do all that, so because like you said it's a pain, and then when you focus on that you kind of end up just doing really boring stuff just to so that you can count it simply, and then you end up not having like actually tasty food to eat.
Yeah, you're right. That's what
Yeah.
I would have done. I would have had cucumber and chicken or something.
Yeah, yeah, and then you just get so sick of it.
Yeah, you do. And then you go and, get a pizza or something else.
Right. Yep, that's right. Well, good.
The
That's good to
pendulum
hear.
swings one to
Yeah.
the other.
So
Mm.
now since you followed this program pretty well with the simplified plan, so during your phase 3, those 3 weeks, did you have to do any correction days?
No.
No?
And, my past experiences with phase 3, always having to do correction days.
Really?
And it like, yeah, it's just a nightmare. But this time round, my P2 round was very difficult. I found it really difficult to actually get the weight to go. Plateaued, like I'd lose a bit and then 4 or 5 days I'd plateau.
Oh man.
And the only way I could lose more was to do a correction day. And then I'd plateau again and I'd do another correction day. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't tell me this was all going to come back on after I did P3. But with the P3, once I followed your program, that plateauing was in my advantage.
Yeah.
Because my body was just happy to do what it was doing at that weight on
Nice.
the program. So I was really thankful for that because it was such a hard time in P2. I thought, oh.
Yeah, you don't want all that work to be for like nothing.
No, and continual, every day I get up and weigh and there it is, the same weight.
Same number.
So P3, there it is, the same weight, was like, yay.
Yes, now that's what I want.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you didn't have to do any correction days.
No corrections, which is a good thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's encouraging.
Yeah. And usually in P3 there is a little bit of fluctuation in weight, right? Because your weight doesn't stay exactly the same every day. So what was the range of fluctuation during P3 that you would go up and down?
I think I told you I hovered between the lowest I ever went was 66.90 kilos, which is 147.4, and the highest I've gone, well, I'm at my highest now at 68.10, which is 800 grams, ounces or whatever, above what my stabilized weight was.
Yeah, because you wrote in P3 that the highest you went was 67.85 kilograms.
That's right. That was
which I think
P3.
if I hopefully I converted it right is 149.2.
Yeah.
And your LIW was 148.9. I think 67.7 kilos.
Yeah.
So so you basically stayed within 2 pounds, like basically only like half a pound above your LDW, maybe down to a pound or pound and a half below it.
Yeah.
The whole time.
So it didn't rise or fall too much.
Yeah.
It was happy. It was happy where it was.
Yeah. No, that's because it's always going to range. My weight definitely ranges about 3 pounds or so, give or take.
It still does.
Right.
It still doesn't. It should, because if you've got fluid retention, that's going to do it too. And not necessarily fat.
No, yeah. I mean, if I CrossFit in the morning versus the evening, I'll have a different scale weight. Like if I CrossFit in the evening, I
Yeah.
have a lot more water in my muscles because I'm sore and I weigh more the next day. It's just, yeah,
I'm the
just one.
same. I don't CrossFit, but I have a personal trainer train me on a Tuesday,
Oh, great.
and then I do a spinning class on the Wednesday, and then a fat burner on the Friday.
Oh,
I find just
nice.
the 3 days because I don't know if it's because of my age or not, but I just find I can't go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
I start to I don't know, I start to break down.
Do you feel run
So
down if you do that?
I feel run down,
Yeah.
and I think the stress of it isn't good for me either.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm looking into doing more yoga and maybe Pilates, just things that improve the strength, but
Right.
don't cause you to, you know,
Yeah, just not so intense.
the
Yeah.
high intensity.
Right.
I used to do a lot of high intensity work.
Yeah.
Then I had a burnout session
Gotcha.
over it. So now I don't push myself that way anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not worth it.
Right. No, and I'm actually glad that you talked about the frequency of exercise that's good for your body, because I think that this is not talked about enough. And I'm the same way. I do best 3 to 4 times a week, max 4 times. That's like on a
Yeah,
good
me
week,
too.
4 times.
Yeah,
And I can never work out like 3 days in a row. Every time I do, I regret it. If I work,
yeah,
if I could do 2 days in a row max, every once in a while I throw in a third day in a row and I feel just horrible. I just feel like crap
yeah,
the next day, like totally run down and exhausted.
yeah.
And like for
I
me,
think it,
even though I'm, a little younger, I'm 36, I do have a chronic illness. So for me, maybe that's the cause for me is the chronic illness.
yeah,
But yeah, just so you guys know out there, like you do not have to work out 5 and 6 days a week to maintain your weight. We don't.
no, 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 that's right.
So
And we won't.
no, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'd probably gain weight actually if I did more because like you said, you're starting to make it really inflammatory for your body if it's too
Definitely.
much,
Yeah.
you know.
That's what I found for me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad you shared that. And even like you said, the intensity too, depending on, who you are and your health and just
Yeah.
different things, you may have to adjust that as well.
They actually, like, one of my favorite things to do is to look into the health side of things. And a lot of, like, America, a lot of it comes from America, like the summits that they have, the health
Right.
summits and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And they're really interesting and informative, but the recent ones that I've listened to actually address that, the fact that as more the fact of as you get older, you need to readdress the type of exercise you do. You
Mm,
cannot be doing the same exercises as you did when you were 20
yeah.
because all you're doing is what you said. You're causing your body to
Inflammation.
respond by getting inflamed, which
Gotcha.
then causes stress, which then, affects all your everything.
Yeah,
It'll
raises
affect.
your cortisol and then your body stores
That's
fat in your
right.
belly.
That's right. That belly fat comes back.
Mhm.
So you need to address that. And see, that's another component of weight loss. It's not, you've got to look at what am I doing? Am I doing any kind of exercise? Am I doing the right exercise for my age
Right.
and
Yeah.
time in life?
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah.
That's good. I'm really glad you shared that. Yeah, that's really good. Now were you doing this every other day exercise during P3 or did you just start that more recently?
No, I've always exercised.
Gosh, so
Yeah.
you did it the whole time, the whole way through.
Yeah, but in P2, I just stuck with yoga, very something slow, but still, and just walking,
Yeah,
like nothing that would interfere with my weight loss,
sure.
but would maybe support it more,
Gotcha.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, good. And that's great to hear too that you were doing the 3 times a week exercise in P3 and it sounds like that fit into doing the program okay and everything.
Definitely did. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm just curious, we'll talk more about like the food and portion sizes in a second, but since you were exercising too, did you feel like you needed to add any food to the program on like exercise days at all, or did it still feel like it was sufficient?
As far as the program, more than enough food.
Cool.
More than enough food to eat.
Good.
I think the only thing I did add was I do have a fermented green drink, and I would actually have that in the morning. I put it in water and mix it.
Nice.
That was about the only thing I added more.
Gotcha.
To get more greens in, I did that.
Good. That's great.
Not every morning, only the exercise morning.
Your exercise days. Is that like a certain like powder, like a brand you buy?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you remember the name of it? Or if not, we can maybe get it later.
No, I don't.
I'll get it from you later.
It's a fermented,
Yeah.
like it's got fermented grains and greens in it.
Nice.
That's, yeah.
No, maybe later I can get the brand name and we'll put it in the
Sure.
show note links for you guys because I
Sure.
just, love that, because those types
Yeah.
of things people often report give them more energy and help your body restore and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do that. So we'll get the fermented green drink. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that then, so with the actual food, so the cool thing is your results on P3tolife were excellent. You didn't have any correction days, your weight stabilized easily. So win-win there. But the question is did you have to stabilize like eating chicken breast and cucumber all day? Was that how it was achieved? So what did you think of like the meals and the portion sizes on the P3tolife plan?
The meals are just like normal eating to me. And the portion sizes were very generous. Like I was quite like once I ate, that was it. I didn't have to worry about food or what. You know how sometimes you eat your dinner and then you go back hunting into the kitchen thinking, what else can I have?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't have to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And you know what? I didn't get to try your, the extra smoothies.
Oh, the dessert smoothies. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even get to try. And it was winter when I did it.
Yeah, you're like,
every time I thought, I must try that. And when I think to do it, I think, there's no way I can do this. It's too cold. But now that summer's coming in, I'm really looking forward to doing them because I like things like that, icy things that I can eat.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, winter is not the time to do it.
Yeah, I know. I think once you try them, you'll get hooked. I can totally understand when I have because I do have my P3 smoothies in the winter only because I'm just such a, I was such a sweets addict before that like I have to have it. But I will tell you, I either have to take a hot shower after having one.
Yeah.
And I know I'm wasting water. I have a well. Anyway, but yeah, so I'll have to take a hot shower or I have like a hot water bottle. Yeah, and I'll have to like heat it up and like put it on me to warm back up.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
The lengths we go to. Yeah.
Well,
Well, good. So what were some of your favorite recipes on the program?
Okay. I did.
Everybody has their favorites,
I do. I really like the bacony egg cups.
Cool.
Because not only were they quick to do and you could do a lot of them, I just really enjoyed eating them. Like I'd take them to work and have them for breakfast at work with my coffee. And everybody else is like, what have you got? Isn't that nice? Yummy. I go, yeah, this is really good stuff.
That's great.
And then the rosemary butternut zoodles.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I live with my husband and my second youngest daughter, and the meals that I made for dinner, I made for all of us because I wasn't going to be cooking, like a restaurant. Everybody gets their own meal.
Yeah.
So I thought, we'll try this. They loved it. They go, what's this? I go, this is a new recipe from Brazil.
Oh, good.
And just really nice, tasty. And you know what? It really it lasts a long time. Like, you know how you have to put it in the fridge, because a lot of the time I'd have leftover of the actual the sauce part of it, and
Yeah.
that lasted ages, and you could use it on other things, you know.
Yes.
Like, so I thought that was really good. That was a
Awesome.
really good find, and
Awesome.
we have that regularly.
Cool.
Then the chili lime shrimp, because I really like um, shrimp.
Nice. That was a
So
fast
that
one
was something.
too. That was one
Yeah,
of my
it's
favorites
fast.
also. And I
Yeah.
remember when we made it to do the photography of it, and I was like, I don't understand. How can this be this fast and taste this good? So
Yeah, yeah,
cool.
yeah. The combination just works well.
Awesome.
And the most favourite for me, because I'm a real mushroom fan, is that creamy garlic mushroom chicken. That is
Good.
my favourite. And
Awesome.
I have that like once a week, once or twice a week.
Awesome.
Not only for dinner, but then I take it for lunch, and just really
Yeah,
good,
that's
really good.
fantastic.
Mm.
So it sounds like when you with the cooking too. So did you cook as you went, or did you do any batch cooking schedule wise?
The only batch cooking I did was for the bacony egg cups.
Gotcha.
But what I did was, like you suggested, cook enough. That's one meal, and then for lunch the next day. So
Right.
that's how I managed it. Because I
Gotcha.
had to cook dinner that night for the other people in the house anyway. So
Right.
I thought, well, I'll just do it that way. So that
Gotcha.
feeds all, and then it feeds me for lunch the next day.
Great. That's good. And then you just reheat your lunch like in the microwave at work or something. Is that what you would
Yeah, I
do?
did. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. That's good. Now, since you had to make the recipes a little bigger for to cook for your family, did you end up using Copy Me that to like enlarge the amounts for the grocery list, or did you just manually figure it out, or how did you do that?
I just used it as I just calculated from the recipe, like if
Gotcha.
it was going to be two serves, well then, we need
Yeah,
another two
double it.
servings, and I
Right.
just, yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
And
So then,
like if it wasn't exact, it didn't worry me. As
good.
long as it
Yeah.
worked, I just did it. And
Right.
if you have extra calories, it wasn't, to me, it wasn't an issue. As
Yeah.
long as I hovered around the weight that I wanted to be around,
Yes.
if I was up the next day, it didn't worry me,
Cool.
because I thought, oh, well, maybe I had too much, coconut milk or something, or
Right.
coconut.
Yeah.
But that didn't worry me.
Good.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you mentioned too, just kind of even though it's a structured framework, not being so concerned with like being so exact that if it's slightly different, everything's gonna mess up because you
Yeah.
guys, it won't be the way the recipes are designed in general. You're not going to get into trouble if you have an extra 2 ounces of shrimp or an extra half of an onion or half cup or an extra cup of mushrooms. Like these are such healthy ingredients that yeah, unless you're putting in an extra half cup of butter, like which I don't think you're gonna do, yeah, you're not gonna have trouble. And then, like you said, if for some reason maybe you just did a little overdo it a little, you can just eat a little less the next day. And really using hunger as your guide is also the point. So because since I can't design this to be tailored to each person specifically, some people actually might be a little hungry on the program and they might need to add a little calories, which is easy to do. And I talk about that in the program. Or for others, maybe they're like, actually, I got really full. Do I have to eat the whole serving? And I tell them like, no, don't stuff yourself. Like if even though it says you can have this much of it, if you're full, like stop and save the rest. That's your
Yeah.
body's letting you know when it's time to
Yeah.
stop. So yeah.
And that's important. You have to learn to live like that. Like this is
Yes.
your life. You're living your life. You're not on
Yeah.
a like a regime or something.
Right.
It's your life you're living. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's how it works.
Yeah, and it is true that especially as your body gets healthier and you've lost weight and hopefully you deal with like the insulin resistance and all that, if that starts getting fixed, your body does actually intuitively let you know when you need to eat more and when you need to stop. Like for instance, with me, when I do more weightlifting, like if I do some heavier weights, like I will actually be more hungry than usual. Because
Yeah.
I tend to eat the same things a lot, and so I'll notice like, boy, the same stuff I usually eat's kind of not feeling like enough today. Like I actually am hungry, and so I will listen to that cue, and I will eat more, and I don't gain weight. It's just my body's actually needing it. So yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing.
I'm like you too. I'm terrible in that way, that I'm very habitual, that once I've found these things,
Yeah.
that's it. I do it every day,
Yeah.
every day. And it's like you're just chugging along. You don't
Yeah.
have to think about it or worry
Exactly.
about it. It's just all done and you're doing it. And
Right.
that's what I like about it, see,
Good.
because then you're not thinking there, oh, what are we going to have? Am I allowed to have that? You know, like that
Right.
kind of thing. That's
It's
so
true.
stressful.
It's true. Or even sometimes, like, because I love Pinterest, right? We all love
Me
Pinterest.
too.
But I find that sometimes I would just get so overwhelmed by the choices because, for instance, you're like, oh, I want to find a low carb chocolate muffin recipe or something, and you go and then you find like 20 different ones and you're like, wait, which is the wisest choice? Which is the most low carb or which is the best one?
Yeah,
And then
yeah, I
sometimes I just
know.
would kind of end up not doing anything.
Yeah, or you collect the recipe and then you don't do it.
Yeah, right. Boards full of stuff that I've never
Yeah,
actually made. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, me too.
So I
Yeah,
know.
that's and usually that's doing it on P2 when you all you think
Yes.
about is food and
Like, well,
what
I
you're going to
can't
have when
eat,
you.
so I'm just gonna look at food.
That's what I do. I know. I guess I'm not alone.
Yeah, no, I remember doing that. In fact, I think there was times when I couldn't handle it, but then there was times, I think maybe as I got near to the end of P2, I do remember that it was actually kind of therapeutic. Like, I was like, this is exciting. So, especially because I had been coming from not eating low carb before finding HCG, I kind of did need to learn about it. So,
Yeah, that's good.
yeah, that's cool. So, just tell us a little bit more then about just because people kind of wonder about the whole cooking thing and like having time for it and like, well, I work or I have family, or so what's your personal life as far as your responsibilities? You said you work full time.
I do work full time. I've already raised a family, so I only have my second youngest daughter living with us,
Yeah.
and then my husband. So there's only three of us, and I'm
Yeah.
not, you know, responsible for six people anymore.
Sure.
So
And it worked for you to cook each night like a larger portion where they could eat and then you'd have your lunch for the next day already for
it
you.
works for me. Yeah,
Cool.
it works for me. So that's all I do, and then I'm not stressed out.
Right.
Sometimes I would, if I had the time, I would maybe cook two meals so
Gotcha.
that the following day I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
and usually I work within that kind of realm because I I I go to two like Bible studies a week.
Yeah.
So on a Wednesday and a Monday, I've got to have something prepared beforehand.
Gotcha.
So I get all that done, and then the next day it's sort of a free day for me.
Nice. Yeah, and that's good. You can prepare a little bit then.
Yeah, then you can prepare.
Very
Like,
cool.
like you just have to figure, you look at what's available to you, and you just try to fit in,
Right.
and don't stress if you can't do it. Don't
Right.
stress.
Yeah. Yeah, I had another good tip from a lady. Same thing. Because I think, we all have different personalities. I'm actually reading this book right now called The Four Tendencies, and it talks about how, like, just how there's kind of like four main different types of people. I mean, we can't put all of us into a box, of course, but just that we all have a tendency to be a certain way. And so some of us, I think we get overly worried about details, and then if it seems like we can't do all the details the exact way it's written, then we kind of panic and think we can't do it. And then
Yeah.
others, it's like you, it sounds like you have an easier time, just like, hey, I get the gist of it, I'm just gonna kind of do most of it. And like, so another gal, she was able to do some batch cooking, and the way she did it was she kind of would just grill all the meats for like all the P3 recipes for the week on the grill. Now, even though the recipe says, cook this meat this way, cook this meat this way, but she's just like, oh, I'm just gonna grill all the meat and then throw it into each dish, and just like, it's not a big deal. So I was like, oh, that's a great tip, is to make it quick. So yeah.
Yeah, no, see, everyone finds their own little
Hmm.
niche. But funny you should say that because I've never used to be this way. If I had a recipe, I had to have it, and if I didn't have the ingredient, well, I'm not doing the recipe.
Really.
Or if it wasn't the way that it says written down,
Yeah.
well, it's not good enough. I used to be quite hard on myself, but
Oh,
as you get older, you sort of mellow out a
you're
bit.
like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, it sort of
So I
doesn't
don't
matter.
have oregano.
Yeah, that's right. We'll use
Oh,
rosemary instead.
yeah, gotcha. That's funny. Cool. Well, very good. Now, since you are in Australia, I thought maybe we could just touch on. I know you're not gonna probably remember off the top of your head per se, but the ingredients thing. So sometimes there's some ingredients that are in the plan that are not available or maybe just really pricey or something in Australia. Do you
Mm.
remember what some of those ingredients were and then how did you handle that?
Oh my gosh. I think the only thing what comes to mind for me was the vanilla powder.
Okay, the vanilla bean powder,
Yeah,
which
I
is
have yet to
basically you could just
find
use
that.
vanilla extract.
Well, that's right. Well, I just used the paste that I had,
Oh, cool.
but
Yeah.
I'm sort of trying to find it. I'll probably have to get it online. Maybe
Right.
that's what everybody else does.
Yeah,
Just get
I
it
can't find it
online.
locally. Yeah. And that's the
Yeah.
other point too, is you guys, even for those in the United States, I tried to make it so that overall, most of the ingredients, like 90, 95% of the ingredients you can find locally at your grocery store. But as part of the whole like learning to have an alternative eating lifestyle training, I
Yeah.
did use a few specialty ingredients here and there each week, and I linked to them, like where you can buy them online in the documents and such, just because they can add so much
Mm.
flavor, texture, or whatnot to eating in a different way. Because as you guys know, sometimes, when you make a recipe low carb, especially like a dessert something or something sweet, and you have to lower the calories or whatnot, it's a little more challenging for it to taste the way it used to taste, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind
Yeah.
of the goal there. So for instance, vanilla extract is used in lots of stuff, and you can use that for anything. But I came across this thing called vanilla bean powder, and it's basically like the vanilla paste where they like dried it, and it's a lot more potent. And like
Yes.
when you
Yeah.
put like half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of that in a smoothie, I mean it's like
Yeah. That's
vanilla
wrong
ice
with me.
cream. Like so just yeah, but you can always sub those things, with something that's more accessible too. So,
Yeah, but I will eventually
yeah.
see if I can buy it. My issue is a lot of the time I don't have an issue with buying online, but the especially from America, I find sometimes it costs more to get it to me than
Like
it does
shipping.
to buy
Yeah.
the item. And I'm thinking, oh
It's
no,
painful.
I would like to do that, but
Yeah.
do that.
Not
Yeah.
worth it. Yeah.
It's
And the
not,
funny thing is you guys actually have some products that aren't, or maybe it's the UK, or maybe both, but sometimes I'll find newer products that I'll come across like on Instagram, but they're like a UK product or Australian. And yeah, like you said, it's not really, it's expensive to get it to
it
come here.
is. Yeah, it
So,
is.
yeah. But so the vanilla, so you could just use extra. And you also mentioned like you couldn't find spaghetti squash because of the time of year, so you subbed that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I just used zucchini.
Yeah.
You can use anything really to spiral.
Mm-hmm.
It might taste a little bit different, but
Yeah, that
it's
works.
good. Yeah, it works.
That's
Well, it worked for me. I was happy.
yeah, no, that's great. Now, do you guys have over there anything? Do you know the sweetener erythritol? Are you familiar
Um,
with that at all?
yes, we can get it at the health food shop.
Okay, so you do have something like that because like we use in the P3 smoothies, which I know you haven't. Of course, we use it in some of the mug muffins too. I don't know if you ended up making those, but I use like a name brand version of erythritol called Swerve, but like any erythritol would work.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I've got that, but
gotcha.
I've also got the skinny drops.
Cool.
They actually have that in the health food shops here too.
Cool.
Um, and just straight stevia, I get the powder and the drops. Like
Nice.
the skinny drops I get are the flavored version.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they just have those.
Cool. Was there anything else like baking ingredients or more of savory ingredients that you had trouble finding and that you had to replace or leave out or kind of putting you on
No,
the
most
spot?
I can't remember
Can't really
myself.
remember. Yeah.
Actually, if I had the recipe in front of me, I'd be
Yeah,
able to
I
say
know. That's
yay or
okay.
nay.
Well, it doesn't sound like it
Yeah.
was too big a deal
It,
if you can't
it's
remember it.
not a well. It depends. Yeah, well, that's right. See, like when it's there and you say, oh yeah, can't get that. oh, well, we'll just leave it out. I'm happy just to leave it out. Like, it's not like, oh, you know what it is?
Yeah.
The specialized tomatoes, you know how you said, oh, they would be really nice to have to,
Oh, like the
the,
roasted, fire roasted ones?
yeah, no, there's no such thing here.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah. Canned tomato, like regular canned tomatoes is fine. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. I just use canned
Yeah.
tomatoes, or and just maybe put a bit of what is it called? The paprika, but it's
Oh, yeah.
the
Paprika.
the
Smoked paprika.
yes, the smoked paprika. I just used a bit of that on it.
Cool. And you
Same.
have smoked paprika there.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice,
yeah.
nice. Yeah,
That's
that's
good.
cool. Because that's actually not as common here. I had to come across it kind of more accidentally online or something. They don't have it in our grocery stores. But okay, so yeah, so you don't have fire roasted. Man, Australia needs to get with it.
I think so.
Yeah, I still remember like that was kind of accidental. We have fire roasted canned tomatoes, and it's like I don't know whatever the fire roasting process, but it just really does add some flavor, which is kind of cool, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, regular canned tomatoes. Okay, cool. So those are really simple subs, actually. Then
yeah. Like,
yeah,
I don't think there's anything there that you couldn't.
too
And
drastically.
you know that if you couldn't, you can't get it. You know, just don't use it.
Right. Yeah, or just use some other vegetable, you know.
Because the thing is, we don't know what it's going to taste like
Right.
or how it's supposed to taste like.
It's true.
We just do it the way we've done it. So, you
Right.
know, we're not missing out really.
Yeah, and in truth, I've realized now, being a little bit a part of the recipe creation process, is that there's so many variations. These are
Yeah.
all just one way to do it. Like,
Well, the starting point.
you pair another vegetable or another spice in there, and you've got a whole new amazing recipe. It's not like it's
Right.
worse. It's just different, you know.
Yeah, that's
So.
right.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Well, thank you for all that. We'll have all of the stuff we talked about, you guys, in the show note links if there's any like links or anything that we talked about. But yeah, I'm so glad that you gave it a try. So how long has it been now since you finished P2?
Um, I've now finished the maintenance and now I'm in P4,
Yeah.
P3, P5. I'm out of it.
Yeah, so it's
I'm
been
now,
like maybe 5 or 6
yeah,
weeks or something since you finished
yeah,
P2 or
yeah, yeah, that's right.
good. And so far your weight's still being pretty stable.
Yes, so far.
Cool.
So,
That's good.
and I must add or admit, I've not been very good,
Yeah.
but especially because like I've not been well. I ended up getting the flu. I
Oh,
lasted so long, and then I got the
I'm
flu, and
sorry.
then after that, it was like, oh,
It throws you off,
I've
you
still
know?
got it in my throat. Yeah, it throws you off,
Yeah.
but you know, not to the point where I'm,
Yeah.
bad or anything. Like
Yeah.
I've got to do correction or anything, but it's just, yeah,
That's great. So it's kind of neat. You still haven't actually had to do any corrections. Like
not
it's
no
that's
no correction.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm actually looking in another thing that I found very useful was your talks on the intermittent fasting. That is another thing that I'm trying as well. I'm implementing that because I find that that is something that my body actually likes.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that. How can you tell that? Like what is it that you can
I
tell that it
just
likes it?
feel I feel better on the days after I've done it.
Mm,
Like there's just a slight improvement of
yeah,
things, like, especially since, I've been sick, it's taken me a while to get the energy back.
right.
And so now that I do those 1 or 2 fasting days, the day after I feel really good. Mm.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Now,
Yeah,
when you do their fast, how are you doing it? Like hour wise, or how do you?
what I attempt to do is the what you recommended, the
Okay.
18.
It's like 18
Well,
to 22 hours or so.
something like that. Like I finish my last meal at around 8:30,
Okay.
and I don't start. I have lunch the next day.
Gotcha, gotcha.
That's
Perfect.
around that. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I tend to feel pretty, actually really good on my actual fast day.
Mm.
Is when I feel better. And I know, everyone's different, but I think for me, one thing I've learned, like you said, it's fun to research things online about health and just the process of digestion is a very energy consuming process for your body.
Yeah. That's right.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah, so it's like when you're constantly digesting food, it takes a lot of energy, and I don't got too much of that. So it's it's
Well,
like,
it
yeah,
also takes, not only does it take the energy, it then stops your body from repairing itself.
yeah,
So when you do give it a rest, then it
yeah,
can do the job that it has to do as far as, getting rid of your waste and toxins and things.
yeah,
Because that was another thing that was a big issue for me. I had a lot of toxins that my body couldn't get rid of,
gotcha,
which also contributed to my bad health.
gotcha.
So, so when you're on P2, it's like a detox,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I really liked it.
Yeah,
My body liked it.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. No, I'm
Mm.
glad you shared that. In fact, I'm trying to think if I have them right here. I have a couple books on fasting. I'll have to. Maybe they're in storage. I have so many books. I just start putting some away. I don't run out of space. I might try to get the links for you guys. But yeah, in the P3 to Life program, like she said, I have quite a few videos, like short videos, talking about the different aspects of fasting, and then especially just how I have found it beneficial, like for women too, because I feel like a lot of the advice on fasting is works well for men,
Yeah.
but the level that men feel fine doing it at often doesn't end up being good for women, from what I've seen. So we have to do it a little bit more delicately, is what I find. And
Yeah.
if you do it that way, then it can be good.
Yeah.
But then if it gets too extreme, I've just noticed with my own body anyway that it'll start to rebel and kind of be like the opposite effect. So that's cool that you're trying that out though. Yeah, and like you experienced too, like I'll have increased brain clarity and energy on the days I fast. And that's neat that the following day you feel like you feel a little better. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
It's good.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today, Helga. I really appreciate it.
It's been fun, and thank you for
I'm so
letting me.
glad. Yeah, that was really great. Yeah, so, well, I hope everything keeps going well. I was thinking when you said that you've maybe been maybe not paying as much attention or something more recently to the eating thing, but that it's still been fairly okay. I think that when you are able to take P3 seriously like you did and actually stabilize your weight as you did, I think it does give you more freedom after that. Like,
Yeah.
you know how they talk about the set point and kind of setting your weight. I do think there's an element of truth to that. Not that
Yeah.
they can just eat whatever you want, but like if you kind of get your body comfortable in a certain place for a period of time, you usually can have a little more flexibility. Whereas, like, if you just kind of didn't have anything structured or controlled in P3, then it could kind of fairly easily just start going up, you know?
Definitely. And that's
Yeah,
that's what it was like for me in the past. Yeah, it
gotcha.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Well, so I can't remember. Right now it's evening for me, but is it afternoon for you?
It is, what is it? 11:45 a.m.
Oh, okay, so it's about lunchtime for you.
Lunchtime.
I was about to say have a good evening, but like, well,
No,
good. Well, have a good lunch and afternoon, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be with me today.
thank you.